Well, the idea came after we were praying the rosary together as a family on a long trip. And I don't know who was the first person who said, why are there no, Catholic saint dolls? At the time, I don't think there was any 18-inch saint dolls that are, kind of the typical doll size height. And there were no saint dolls that come with a book.
I think we have to preface this with the fact that growing up, we were obsessed with dolls. So we had so many,
Okay.
such a collection, and we've always loved dolls. So I think the idea was oh, well, why can't we have dolls and also have religion or saints, sort of combine the two loves? So we're all right, throwing around this idea is wouldn't that be so cute if we had a little Saint Therese, a little mini nun doll for little girls?
Yeah.
We're that's so cute. So it sort of came from that.
And when we had to start with a GoFundMe page actually, because we didn't have the funds to just start making the dolls and stuff like that. So it was a good experience. We had a lot of tractions. A lot of people loved the idea and the concept, and now we're on our 6th or 7th doll already.
I lost track.
I mean, researching to where we have to get the manufacturer, how to do it. I mean, Sarah did the drawings. Ashley would do books. I do the books too, and it was not simple. So GoFundMe, even though we tried GoFundMe, we kind of stopped it. And then what we did was pre-sales.
So we sold it
So we
before.
pre-sold it 3 months before.
That was for our second doll.
For our first doll to get our first snap, and so that worked, but it was kind of stressful. You learn a lot about a business, but our main goal was to inspire children to become saints. Imagine you read that and then you have a doll that kind of looks like the saint that you're reading about, and I feel that would help them connect more.
Yeah, you can relate more to something that's there. You can read her story.
Saint Therese actually had a saint doll, and that of a Carmelite, and that was what helped her to keep her vocation when she went through her mental illness period that she had. She was very sick, and she would look at that doll, and that would help her to keep her eye. We were saying they have Barbies for fashion, and they have American Girl for history, but you don't have kind of a saint doll that comes with the book. So the book is really a critical part, because that's where they learn to really know and love the saint.
Good.
We're hoping to keep growing every year. Every year we add a new doll to our collection, and so we're hoping to keep growing in that, and also hopefully we could do more advertising to reach out more people.
Where I see the future is to be able to do that full time, hopefully as a family. But our daughters they might go to different places and stuff like that, but they'll always be helping us from wherever they are. Like Sarah does the artwork, Ashley does a lot of the marketing work, and she can pretty much do that anywhere she goes. But our dream, of course, is to be able to do that full time as a family.
It's always been a dream, for me and Brian to work, exclusively for God,
The first book I wrote was Mary, Help of Christians, and the reason I wrote it, I went to the Shrine, which is in New York State, maybe about 40 minutes away. And they had a beautiful bookstore, and in the bookstore they didn't have a single book about the Shrine's benefactor, Mary Help of Christians. So I thought that was a little strange that there was no book for Mary Help of Christians. So I saw the whole, just like we saw it with Dolls from Heaven, where there's somebody is not able to, it's not happening. But then Mary Help of Christians, she did a miracle for me, and then I promised to write it. And the first book is the hardest book. I think I was just so scared. I'd never written a book before. I felt unqualified, but one day at a time. And now I'm on maybe my 6th or 5th book. I don't know, I lost track.
I wrote Spiritual Adoption. It was a book. I didn't mean to write a book. It all started with small writings here and there. I had read the book about Saint Therese and how she prayed for Rancini. She pretty much adopted him spiritually. I don't know if you know the story, but he was a criminal that was going to be killed.
Okay.
And he refused to acknowledge God, and she prayed for him. And then before he died, he kissed the crucifix. So I felt like, I always feel like there was something in me that I wanted to pray, to do more. So I wanted to pray for other people, you know. And then just, it wasn't enough to just pray for them like you pray for this person. I wanted to pray for them for like if I pray for my own family. So like as a brother or as a sister. So that's why it was like, it's called spiritual adoption. And so I started writing it little by little, but then somehow it started turning into chapters. And then I was like, might as well make a book, you know. So I did a book, and it's been out for a while, and that's how it kind of started. You know.
I've written, actually. I've written 2 books for Dolls from Heaven, and I wrote a thesis for my school, but I love to write. It's one of my great passions in life. Working, hopefully, maybe married, you never know, and you know, living a good Catholic life.
That, yeah. I
Yes.
want to see myself working, maybe doing like restorative architecture, like maybe restoring like old churches. That's kind of been one of the things that I'd want to do.
Yeah. Where do I see myself in the next 5 years? Well, hopefully college. You know, graduated high school by then. Yeah, that's it.
Well, I was raised Catholic and came from a good Catholic family home. And around the teenage years, I started to kind of veer in the direction of the world, and kind of wanted to see for myself what life was all about. And I went as far as to become an atheist for a period of time. But after about a few years of being an atheist, I realized, well, that didn't really lead me anywhere. It was just kind of a nothing rather than a something. So I started to look for something. And eventually, when I married my wife, I came back to the Catholic Church around the same experience. Of course, is that it's a kind of a, you know, it's all about you. You know, it's kind of a religion of yourself. So you believe in yourself, and eventually kind of, you know, you realize that you can't fix everything, you can't make everything, and then eventually you're going to die too. So it's kind of sad. So eventually it is, in a sense, depressing, but at the time I was young and happy and healthy, so, you know, I didn't have to not want to be an atheist. It's kind of boring. There's nobody, there's nothing to look forward to.
First, we met in college, right? And what attracted to, he always had a good way of talking. He loves to talk, right? So I was attracted to that. And then when I met him, he mentioned something like, why can't we get along? Like everybody just get along, you know, like why people fight and stuff like that. So that what kept in my mind thinking, okay, why can't we get along? I was having a lot of problems then, you know, different situations. I have also like gone away from the faith. I grew up Catholic. I live in my country. I came to this country when I was 15 years old. Like for us to have mass was like maybe once a month. So I missed that, you know. And then when I came to this country, I was like no longer doing the sacraments or anything like that. So when I met Brian, I was not an atheist because I believed in God, but I wasn't doing anything that will, like, you know, that I would say that I believed in God or not, you know, like it was just, I was just going through the motions, you know, like I would go to church, but I wouldn't receive, I wouldn't go to confession. So I was kind of in the same boat, but I always knew that God was always there for me. And I always knew that one day I would have to come back. And like it was kind of like I was taking a break. You know, if you could say, like, you know, I think it's because you fall into sin, and then the more you do that, the more you go away from God, and then it becomes easier to just be like put God in a corner kind of thing on a, you know, in a different shelf. So when I met Brian, I wasn't surprised that he didn't believe. I knew his family was Catholic, And I always, for whatever reason, the day we got married was August 15th. We were supposed to get married August 8th, but the priest couldn't, he had to travel, so he's like, I gotta change the date. And August 15th is the Assumption, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the day I got married, we got married Our Lady of Fatima in North Bergen. They have a really nice crucifix there. And when I was coming into the church, Brian was waiting for me at the altar. All I could see was the crucifix. Like my eyes were not focused on him. I was focused on God for whatever, like it was like calling me. And then while we got married, we prayed Our Lady. And I feel like she was the one who brought us back to God. So I think, that's cool.
But I went to a Catholic school my whole, primary school or grade school and high school, and unfortunately, I didn't keep the faith by doing that. So I was well aware that, that a Catholic school is not magic, so that there might be challenges there that were there 30 years ago. My main reason was I was bullied in those schools, and I didn't like the experience, and I didn't want my children to go through that either. So number one was to keep the faith. Number two is the bullying that's out there a lot nowadays, and it was out there 30 years ago, so I was hoping to spare them of both those things. My children are doing very well, and they still have the faith, so those are the things, and they weren't bullied as far as I know. So my two major goals have been so far achieved. It's not a guarantee that they'll always keep the faith, but they will have had it for the most of their young lives, and then they can make their own choices as they grow up.
I was very young, so it started with just a few lessons here and there, and we got the books and we got the different lesson plans, and I always liked to learn. So even though we were at home, I had a lot of fun learning, and I got to spend a lot of time with my siblings and my parents. So growing up younger years, I definitely enjoyed being homeschooled. I thought it was a good experience.
It was fun.
It's been good. I mean, I couldn't tell you what it's like in public school, but I've enjoyed it for the most part.
One of the benefits that I would say is that we got to spend more time together, because if they went to a regular school, they're like 8 hours, they'll probably be in school, right? And I'll probably be at work and stuff like that. But this gave us time to have more time as a family, like to be together. Even though we're doing homeschooling or whatever, we're still together. So I think life goes so fast. So that for me at least was a benefit, that I got to spend more time with them.